Okay, viewers, hopefully things are working out for you and whatever you're working on. Um, Certainly things are changing for me because I've had a change of room, and hopefully you could hear me okay. Got the microphone set up, I've rearranged things a bit, got getting the wallpaper up, got electrics done and cabling done. I hope the neighbors weren't too angry with me because next door I have a night shift. And yesterday I was going around with a hammer, knock knock, tagging some cables into the skirting board um, for extensions here and there. Yeah, so I got a new desk, adapted, well, adapted part of the old desk to a table, and extended another part of the old desk to extend the new desk. And the finish, the um, surface finish, this coloration is the same. So there's the old desk, or part of, and here's the new desk, the same finish. Um, yeah, I'm enjoying putting this wallpaper up. It's sticky back. You take the back layer, back peel off. Is a knack to that. You got to be careful with it. It sounds easy. Oh, peel it back off, stick it on the wall, and don't have to worry about wallpaper paste. On paper, that sounds easy. No pun intended, because it's paper on the walls. But yeah, I'm enjoying the adaptation. I'm enjoying the extra space I got. I'm enjoying the fact that I can remember in here where everything is. In that cubby are almost two synthesizers that I very rarely ever use. Got a few bits of clothing in there. I got stuff for the eventual ecosystem here, and I got my tops clothing here. I got some of my trousers in that one. I got a set of drawers by me. I know what's in there. I know where everything is just by thinking about it. And even if there has to be some thought to find something, it's only a short thought to, I did achieve that in the other room one day, but then having to shuffle things around, there was a domino effect going around. If things got a little bit untidy, I would work around that. But working around that meant the workaround made another area untidy because it was dumping things on the floor instead of on a shelf and desk, and it was a compounding effect, domino effect. And you'd need a few days to give a blast in the room to tidy up and keep things set again. And after a hard day's work, you didn't really want to mess around with bulky things in a small room. Long story short, we had a discussion to swap rooms because this is ideal for me, and the smaller room's ideal for the other occupant for their own reasons. I got and my own reasons, and it's working out great. I just come on to give a tertiary talk about ecosystems. Of course, I was starting an ecosystem. I was doing videos step by step. And yeah, I'd still want to get ahead with it. I still want to do that. But things got in the way with finances, dental treatment, tattoo, a lot of finances, and then decided, oh, I need a break, more money. I need a break to a favourite area of the UK, which I tried to get to every year. And just some things, the difficulties in that room, just moving around as well, led to the ecosystem being on the afterburner for a while. There is going to be a whole, you have the vase thing going with but there is going to be a proper oblong, square, whatever shape you want to call it, fish tank on that table behind me. Again, that's an adaptation of a piece of the old desk where The top of it was sort of veered off a little bit to reveal the top of the side, which didn't look right, but it was right where. It's hard to describe. So you got your legs and your frame, but the top of it was off a little bit. Why? Well, because the other piece would fit onto that where it's off a bit and screw in because it's a corner desk. This now isn't a corner desk. So rather than screw that back in how it should be, that's just here. Yeah, yeah. Had some very good glue to not screw the top back on, but just to realign it and have it squared and use some Gorilla Glue. Gorilla Glue is amazing. 'Cause it's way better than super glue, I would say, for things like that. It bonds any material to any material. It gets tacky and gummy, so it still stretches while it's curing, so you can still adjust things a little bit. And I clamped for it to set. I clamped things together so it wouldn't slide. And once it begins to set, it's sort of a tackiness. It gets as it dries, it gets smaller, shorter, and brings things in. You know, I almost see that happening. There's kind of a gap there that just, yeah, you can see it drying through, putting in, but it wasn't quite putting in enough, so I clamped it down. And it's on there, absolutely solid. I tried physically to move it. That's great because a fish tank is going on that desk. So power cable coming. It's behind that, behind me. That's a little bit for flooring. An experiment for flooring. If it doesn't work out, I'll get somebody in to do the flooring. So that's power socket there at the bottom of the camera view, going into the cupboard, and then two little plug sockets back out just under the door, which doesn't stop the door closing at all. That's fine. And that's where power cables, because I want a bit of ecosystem going. It doesn't, when you hear that and people hear about the ways to do it, they hear about no filter aquarium, but I still will have aeration for water circulation, as well as lighting, as well as heater. The room will be generally warm anyway throughout the year, but there will be those moments when temperatures, particularly in the winter, drop below, and the heater will have a thermostat that will maintain the temperatures right. Now, looking at different types of water across the UK, can't speak for other countries because I haven't researched that. Water hardness, and people talk about HD, hard dissolved. No, is it HD? The TDS, total dissolved solids, and water hardness. Total dissolved solids doesn't necessarily mean like all your minerals. It means a number of dissolved solids in the water, but it's usually relating to your minerals and other things. And higher the hardness because of minerals and whatever you want to call them from rock and so on in your water will hinder some plants to take up nutrients through its root system. There's ways to mitigate that, but there's also different types of plants that do better. or not necessarily better, they cope with that kind of water environment. Also, they might not cope with it if the water's too still, but they're better with better flow of water. There's all and different types of things. There's no hard and fast rule for aquascaping, making things look nice, as well as getting it to be an ecosystem while looking nice. Because there are so many other variables, because this is why there's so many different ways to do this, to fit and improvise around these variables that are probably out of a lot of people's reach to change. For instance, water hardness. There's ways to get your water softer if that's required for plants. Also, harder water is more required for crustaceans like amano shrimp, cherry shrimp, even crayfish. People keep crayfish now as well. Different types. In some countries, there's certain species of crayfish are not legal to keep. Pretty much when the fish keeping industry in the UK, there's a lot that you can and are allowed to keep in the UK comparative to other countries, because the general reasoning would be it's illegal because if it was accidentally, maybe even purposely, released to the general environment outside, it would end up being an invasive species. But there's a lot that would be an invasive species in other countries that would survive, so they're illegal. That would just die anyway because the climate or the different types of predators, the ecosystem balance of the country, of the environment, the outside world. So that's why we're able to get away with some of the better variety with some things here and there. There's still some things we're not allowed to keep though in the UK, and other things are a bit grey area. It's annoying that eBay have recently turned around with you can't sell live produce anymore. I used to keep a gecko that I would buy on eBay, crickets for the gecko to eat. And anyone who's bothered about the pain even a cricket might go through just be eaten, well, science has shown, if you're really that fussy, I mean, it's natural, it's nature. You have a piece of nature in your home, whether it's an aquarium, a vivarium, or a paludarium. There's all different versions. Regardless of what you're keeping, life feeds on life. But science has shown for crustaceans, or use like shrimp, particularly insects as well, and crayfish. They don't necessarily, I'm not sure about crayfish, there's some grey areas. They don't necessarily have any pain receptors. Yeah, 1 second. I unplugged my microphone. I'll try again to switch over. Testing. Here we go. Where was I before I fucked up? Things don't have any pain receptors, so it's eBay turned around is like not allowed to sell things as food anymore, like feeder, things. People have been breeding small things to go online via eBay to be for sale for things, other things to eat, and so on. And I'm not sure what the reasoning was necessarily, but it's peed off a lot of hobbyists. I wanted to, once I get going, sell some cherry shrimp, and I can't do that on eBay. eBay was my main port of call for that ongoing experiment once I get going. So I have a look around in the UK what websites you can do this. You can buy like Daphnia, not live culture, but you can buy the eggs. Daphnia eggs will keep indefinitely, by the way, otherwise known as water flea, and a great food source for some fish. Um, so at some point as well, I'll be showing you how to maintain a Daphnia culture, a scud culture, which I had going for a while as well in separate containers. And scuds will eat anything, more or less, as long as it's like sort of waste material. This is where these creatures are called detritivores, or detroit. They eat detritus. What is detritus? Detritus is dead matter, stuff that's dying, rotting, so on. The exception might be Java moss. For some reason, they love that stuff, and they will strip it down. If there's no other food source available, they will attack your Java moss, and they will strip it down. There's just a stem left. Whatever it is about Java moss that they need in their diet, there's certainly something that they get from it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so easy to get hold of it. Again, talking about water hardness, kind of all over the map here because so much going on. You need good dissolved solids, minerals, and so on when it comes to keeping shrimp or crustaceans, because they need it to aid shedding their skins. They don't just grow, they need to shed a whole kind of outer shell, then they're able to grow. Right? And some people think, oh, there's a dead shrimp in a tank. It's not, it's just come out of its skin. You know, like how spiders shed their skin, if you know about that at all. You sometimes, well, certainly people who live in the UK, you will have come across, particularly in winter when things like spiders come in to keep warm, and you might see like a semi-transparent skin of a spider intact left behind. It's not a dead spider, it's the outer shell, outer skin. It means it's grown a little bit. And generally we don't have anything too poisonous, so they don't, as in household maintenance, cleaning up, yeah, you might get, not kill them, or I usually put them in the cup and stick them back outside. They usually come back in anyway. It's in the winter particularly, because I live in a rural area, countryside, surrounded by mountains and trees. It's beautiful around here actually, but we get desensitized or don't really bother to take a moment to observe how beautiful that is. Even more beautiful, I think, was where I went in June, the beginning of June, to North Devon, southwest England, and coastal area, but also parts of it so steeped in nature, steeped in countryside. It's just very therapeutic. And that's another part of the interest, really, to get the ecosystem going, therapeutic. A piece of nature in your home, you hear sometimes a sound of trickling water is therapeutic, but to watch things like nice plush green plants grow and little tweaks you're doing to it, changing things here and there, and you watch it evolve and learn about changing things, and when the changes happen because of what you're tweaking that go in your favor, it's very rewarding. That can be very rewarding. So during the time where I'm not bothering to get the ecosystem redone anytime soon yet, because there's a lot of work to be done for this room to get that all out the way first. I've been learning and reading up and watching videos, gathering ideas how I'm going to do this. So already there'll be a change on how I wanted to start the vase, which is on the table behind me. Already. Yeah. So it'd be a fairly large tank. Would go on once I get the money to be able to afford it. It will go on. Just had some food on the table behind me. It would take up most of the top surface area. Hopefully, it will take the weight. It should do actually. It's pretty solid. The leg stuff there. It doesn't. You might not think it is because that's kind of loose, not loose framework. That's not like just one solid block, right? The framework is the legs and the supports and so on. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing bits in this room. It's kept my focus occupied. I love it on doing a bigger project to see the progress of it, and in my head is the main goal. I can see it, what this room, some idea what the room is going to be looking like, and as it evolves I see it getting closer to something like that. It's never going to be, because life doesn't work that way. Things never work out exactly how you imagine, but actually the way the wallpaper has gone on the walls is, it, for me personally, it looks better than I imagined. So that's great. There's a very vague blue tint to this grey as well, and the way the light bounces off it as well. It's really nice. It's the wooden slatting effect, and it works well for this room. It's really nice. I can't stop looking at it actually. It's certainly you need the right technique to lay it on the wall. It's going to be careful with all the creases and bubbles, and take it back off, straighten it out a bit, because I don't know about buildings in other countries, but for a long time, I mean, there was one time when walls were a bit more level, but in the UK, housing booms and all this, and cost cutting, they threw these houses up, and it's some of the walls are not really quite that level. There's some minor warps here and there which will have you thinking, oh, it's square and level at the top where you're putting your paper on, but then you find it like veering off a little bit, so you have to readjust here and there a little bit, because it'll be veering into very, very slightly into the next one that you just laid down. So where the slat effect is, you see it, oh, narrowing, oh, that ain't right, so readjust. So you got to do a little bit at a time, a little bit and a little bit, as you peel the back off this sticky back paper, a little bit, readjust a little bit, so on. And I think I've done a pretty good job. I certainly haven't done a lot of wallpapering apart from the other small room, which is now bare of any paper, and neatly went round the plug socket just there, and that worked out nice. Is when you come across obstacles, and you just gotta, it's very good thick paper actually to be able to cut around things without too many creases or anything and make it look neat. So that's another bonus for this paper. So I got this as well because I'm gonna have vinyl. If it works out alright, I'm gonna buy a few things just to test. So it's going to be vinyl flooring, and this is an underlay for vinyl flooring. There'll be sticky back tiles to go on vinyl flooring. That this will be cut this to shape and adhesive spray to get that stuck, and probably a staple it to the floorboards as well, floor staples, and that, or the sticky back vinyl flooring will also be stuck to that. The sticky back vinyl flooring is like 2 mil thick, and I thought, well, that's a little bit too thin. You need something under that to even things out just a little bit. This is 2 mil thick, so around 4 millimeters altogether, which should be soft enough underfoot. And what I've read about different things that people have done, it seems like it's going to work, but I don't know. This is why in the corner, I don't know if we can't, yeah, corner, no, you can't see, just past the notice board there anyway, just by the door on the floor is a piece of the carpet just chopped off, and well, I'll just experiment with that piece there and see how that goes, coming and going. Once I get a few sticky back vinyl flooring slats to actually go there with this underneath it, it should work out okay. I don't see why not at the moment. So I didn't want to shell out for, because I can't afford it at the moment anyway, but also the reward factor of doing it myself is I didn't want to shell out for, hey, that's the laminate, or not laminate, sorry, vinyl I want, and measure and get it arrive, and then have pay somebody just to lay it down as well. I've done that in the past before when I'm a bit more flush financially, but technically I would be flush now to do something like that. However, there's other things I want to use that money for later, like a corner settee sofa, which will also be my bed. Corner sofa, I would sit in the corner here, and I can see that it looks real nice with a certain type of stuff, a number of different types, perhaps depending on which one I choose, pros and cons, money, quality. And I see that in the corner there with so much extra space. Walls look great. There's going to be again, money permitting, I have an idea for a nice long picture across there that would be something like a waterfall with plush trees or some nature scene going on there. Whether I'll actually, that's later down the line, once all the wallpapering is done and so on. Certainly there'll be some touch-ups, paint as well, where behind the thing that I've been sleeping on, there's like a plastic covering from the plug socket extended, the microphone's in the way, I don't know how to position, to the other one there. That will be painted like the kind of grey to make it everything look more complete. The kind of grey ish, grey white, whatever, of the same shade as the wallpaper. Yeah, and it works great because, you know, this kind of slatted thing is easy to not, you know, if you got something that's not lined up, unlike the brickwork I had in the other room, you know when that's missing, but it's just vertical here and not across as well. And it doesn't matter if it's not lining up because it doesn't look ugly, it just looks natural. Alright, if there's any points where it doesn't line up. So, for instance, I can see a knot in the wood effect on one sheet that's kind of off with another sheet, but it looks fine. It looks absolutely great. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll look forward to doing another video soon. A lot of information just to blurt out, and it wasn't necessarily any coherent order. I know I'm like that sometimes, but these are just what's on my mind for ecosystem, saying about water hardness. So my area, to where I was going with that, is generally soft water, meaning there's not a large amount of dissolved minerals in the water straight from the tap. Of course, there's going to be chemicals in it to aid for human consumption, which is questionable to me about. Fine washing with it, I still filter it anyway. You get the filter unit, pour into like a jug, and filter it and boil, because it's done in a way so that there's no microorganisms that grow in it, so that could make you ill. But it also means, well, there's gut bacteria in your gut. What's it do to that? It's gut bacteria to aid your digestion. So water straight from the tap, I've always been dubious about it, and I've never really enjoyed the taste anyway. I know people always say, oh, that's what they do. You buy bottled water, it's just tap water anyway. No, it's not. It isn't. And don't get me started. So yeah. And these are recyclable bottles as well, so don't get me started on that. Just learn a bit before we repeat what somebody else said just because they said something. Thanks for watching again anyway. So I'm going to perhaps do a bit of wallpapering at some point today. I haven't long since finished work actually before doing this video. So yeah, it's will also aid a bit of soundproofing. And waterproofing. Paper on the wall is actually waterproof as well. If you spill something, it's easy to wipe off. So cheers, bye bye.